Welcome to the Aro Benaiah Show, where we break down real business strategy that help entrepreneurs build, scale, and eventually exit successfully. Yes, it's Marty Fahncke, a seasoned marketer and M&C expert with over 30 years of experience in business and more than growing business and more than 450 millions is executed. Is here to simplify Wall Street strategy for everyday business owner. It's really a pleasure and honor having you on the show,
Oh,
Marty.
thank you for having me here. I appreciate you inviting me.
Yeah, thank you. So, Marty, you have spent decades in marketing and A. What drew you into the world of buying and selling business?
Well, it was all accidental, really. I had a business about 25 years ago that I started with some friends of mine. I was handling all of the marketing for the business. We grew the business from the grassroots and eventually got the product on television in a couple of different countries, et cetera. And about a year and a half after we started the business, we had a company come and offer us $1.5 million for the business. And we thought that was all the money in the world. And so that was my first venture into acquisitions. Now, we made a lot of mistakes with that acquisition. You know, we thought we thought we just kind of hit the jackpot, but we actually left a lot of money on the table. And I there's a lot of things I would have done differently now, knowing what I know. But that kind of got me started. Fast forward a few years, and I was on the other side of the equation. I had a business that was doing quite well, but we had a competitor who was a pretty aggressive competitor. My company was a private equity backed firm, and I was talking to our CEO about, this competitor that was kind of causing some issues for me. And he said, "Well, why don't you go buy them?" And I said, "Well, I don't know. I've never thought about that." And he goes, "Well, if they're a good team and they've got access to audience we don't have, et cetera, let's see about buying them." So I contacted the president of the company, and I said, "Have you ever thought about selling your company?" And he's like, "Not really, but I'm open to talk." And we talked a little bit. We made a deal happen, and I acquired his business. And that turned out to be a really interesting situation because my company at the time was doing about $1.5 million a year. His company was doing about $2 million a year. But we put the two businesses together, and we wound up by the end of the second year doing $30 million in revenue.
Whoa.
It almost 10x'd because I eliminated a competitor in the marketplace. We were no longer competing with each other for the same clients. We were working together for the same customers.
Yeah.
They had a lot of great skill sets that my team didn't have. My team had a lot of great skill sets that his team didn't have. And so the combined entity, it was one of a situation of 1 and 1 doesn't make 2, 1 and 1 made 11. So after that, I was kind of hooked, and I've built and sold several businesses since then. I've acquired businesses, and I've helped hundreds of other business owners buy or sell their businesses as well.
Yeah, amazing work you're doing. So many people think acquisitions are only for big corporations. Why should a small business owner care about M&As?
That's a really great question. It is true. A lot of times people think of acquisitions and mergers and they think, oh, it's for banks and airlines and, big companies. But even very, very small companies can benefit from mergers and acquisitions. So there's two things that I talk about that I want to make sure that any business owners or aspiring business owners that are listening start to think about. Number one is acquisitions can be used to grow a business. So I just told that story of a business I went and acquired, and we X'd in revenue by an acquisition. So we talk about how to double your business without having to sell more stuff. So acquisitions can be used to grow a business at very low risk with very high leverage and very high margins to grow your business. And then the next thing that many business owners don't ever think about is the exit. What happens when you exit your business? And it's really interesting how few business owners think about the exit, but yet 100% of every business owner will exit their business someday in some way. The question is, will it be on their terms or fate's terms? So whether they sell the business, whether they give the business to their kids, whether they die, whether they shut it down, they will exit their business sometime. And yet very few business owners plan for that. And that's what I really want to get a message out of. You have to think about those things and plan for what's going to happen to your business someday, even if it's something happens that you don't plan for. And we talk about the 5 Ds in a B in our company, and the 5 Ds are divorce, disease, death, debt, which is financial, disagreements, usually among partnerships. And then the B is burnout. And that's actually the number one thing we see. of why people wind up exiting a business, even if they weren't planning for it. So I'm here to kind of talk about that and help get the wheels turning a little bit with business owners.
Yeah, this is really amazing. Yeah, checking out those particular 4 Ds and Bs are divorce, disease, debts, debt, and disagreement and burnout. So
Disagreements and burnout. Yep, 5 Ds
yeah,
and a B.
amazing, amazing. I think this is really lovely, especially the part that you just make it more heightening into the part that at one point or the other, for one of those reasons, you're going to leave your business. One has to be thinking about selling. So when is the right time for a business owner to start thinking about selling their business?
So the right time to be thinking about it is when you're on top. One of the biggest mistakes I see business owners make is, as their business is doing really, really great, they're kind of like, oh, look how great things are going. I'm making lots of money, etc. But the thing is that businesses are cyclical, right? Gravity, the law of gravity, what goes up must come down, also applies many times to businesses. Most businesses don't continually go up forever. Most businesses go up and then down and then up and then down. And many businesses don't survive the down, unfortunately. So a great time to sell is when your business is doing really fantastic. Matter of fact, I see oftentimes where a business is doing really great and offers, people come and unsolicited say, hey, you're doing really great. I'd like to buy your business. And most business owners say, no, things are going too good. I don't want to sell. And then they wait until business is down. They wait until they're on a down cycle. And then they kind of look around and they go, oh, maybe now's the time to sell. And then they leave millions of dollars on the table. So it's a tough thing to think about and consider. But if you don't have the heart of an entrepreneur and you can go through the ups and the downs and the cycles and everything else, and you can push through to the next peak, maybe fine, you can stick with it. But many don't make it through the valleys. And unfortunately, they wind up either having a business that they can't sell because of the dip of the valley, or that they sell for much less than they would have had they sold when they were on top.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we talk about. And then the other is just to plan it. Plan what is your exit strategy. Whether or not you ever execute it on that exit strategy, have a plan. And most business owners don't have a plan. They have no idea. Like, I don't know. I haven't even thought about it.
Yeah.
But what happens if one of the 5 Ds or the B hits you? What happens if you get sick? We had some clients last year that, it was a family-run business, and there were kind of 3 family members that operated it. Well, 2 of the family members, and they were doing really well and doing millions of dollars, and everything was great. 2 of the 3 family members got cancer at the same time. And unfortunately, instead of quickly taking action on the business, they tried to kind of ride it through. And of course, when you have cancer and you're having treatments and you're sick and you're tired, you can't effectively run a business. And they waited a really long time to contact us. And so they left probably $1 million. We eventually did get the business sold, but they probably left over $1 million in valuation on the table because they didn't call us soon enough. So, you have to be thinking about those things. You have to have a contingency plan for any of those things that might happen.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. So how can someone increase the value of the business long before they even consider selling?
Yeah, so increasing the value of the business, there's a couple of things that you can do. Number one, you want to make sure that the financials of your business are really in great shape. They're in order, that your profit and loss statements are accurate, your cash flow statements are accurate and updated, your balance sheet, everything. And make sure that you understand your financials. Many business owners kind of when they're smaller, they kind of ignore it. And when they get bigger, they hire somebody to take care of it, and they don't fully understand it. You need to understand your financials and the fundamentals of them. Number two, and one of the biggest things we see is you need to have a business operating system. And an operating system that's not software necessarily. An operating system is basically your SOPs, your standard operating procedures, all of the things needed to run the business without you being present. So I'll give you an example. If you decide to go and purchase a McDonald's franchise and you want to start a McDonald's franchise, McDonald's is going to say, great. Well, first of all, you're going to need $10 million to open one. But here is our operating system that tells you every single step that you have to do to start a McDonald's, from selecting the real estate to hiring the builders to the colors and the signage, the floor plan of the restaurant, the equipment you have to buy. And then when you open the restaurant, it's how to hire the employees, how to train the employees, how to clean the grills, how to clean the bathrooms. Every single step of owning McDonald's, if you're a franchisee, is in an operating system. And your business should be the same. Everything in your business should have an operating system so that there's no question what your employees are doing they're able to operate in their area effectively without you as the owner having to make all the decisions. Because a business that the owner is integral to the business, that they are part of the business and everything comes through them, that's a business that doesn't have very much value, because you as the owner are the bottleneck, right? Everything's coming through you. And if you try to sell that business, it's going to be very difficult to sell because they can't replace you as the owner. So a business that has an operating system that operates without the owner having to be present is going to have substantially more value than a business that doesn't have that in place. So those are a couple of things. There's a bunch of steps that we talk about, but those are just a couple of tips that I want to give out. Is understand your financials, have an operating system in place, and then work to have the owner above the business as a strategy person, not day-to-day operations person that's bottlenecking the business.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, your financial in a great shape, understanding your financials, and having an operating system.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. So you have mentioned that the more valuable you are is your business, the less valuable your business is. Can you break that down?
Yeah, that's really what I was just talking about is if you are integral to your business, if you're valuable to it where it can't operate without you, then your business has much less value if it has to be sold, because you are the business, right? And they can't buy you as the owner, they have to buy your business. So the more valuable you are to your business, the less valuable your business is. The most valuable businesses to be able to sell are ones where the owner doesn't necessarily have to have anything to do with the business, because the team is running it, the employees are running it, and they're running it based on the operating system that you, the owner, have created for the business. So the more valuable you are to the business, the less valuable your business is going to be.
Thank you for sharing that out. I think it's really keeping that you just speak volumes to instead of the business depending on you. Yeah, make yourself less valuable, owing to the fact that you have trained people, you already have a system that would make it easily run without you being there.
Exactly.
Amazing. So what are the biggest mistake business owner make when trying to scale or prepare for an exit?
Trying to scale or do what?
Prepare for an exit.
Prepare for an exit. What are the biggest mistakes business owners make when they try to scale? Well, so one of the things, so I'm a marketing guy at heart. I've been doing marketing for 30 years. I'm passionate about marketing. I have always tried to scale, I used to always try and scale businesses purely through marketing. But here's what I found out. Marketing is tough, right? When you try and grow and scale through marketing, then you're going to spend more. Well, when you spend more, your marketing is probably going to be less efficient. There's an old saying that says, I know 50% of my advertising is wasted, but I just don't know which 50%.
Yeah.
Well, if you grow the budget, your advertising is going to be less effective. You have to hire salespeople. You have to hire marketing people. You have to hire, you have to maybe you try new marketing agencies. You have to try all this stuff to try and organically grow through marketing, where we love growing through acquisition. So the mistake I see is people not thinking about growing through acquisition, because if you're trying to grow through marketing, you have all those high risks. Growing through acquisition can actually be very low risk. Let's say that you have an auto repair shop, and you're in a town, you have 3 or 4 bays, you're doing really nice business, you're busy all the time, you constantly have all your bays are full, and you're making, let's say, $2 million a year. You want to grow that business. Now you've got some options. You either have to try and build onto that building and spend a bunch of money and try and grow it, hire a bunch more people, advertise more to get more customers in. And all of that requires a lot of capital and a lot of money and a lot of risk.
Yeah.
Or you go to the auto repair shop that's down the road from you across town, and maybe they're about the similar size. They have 3 or 4 bays and they're doing a couple $1 million a year. And they already have a steady customer base. They already have a proven location. They already have employees that are working out, and they already have everything in place. And you acquire them. So now your business is doing $2 million a year. Their business is doing $2 million a year. You acquire them, put the two together, boom, you've just doubled your business. And the risk is so much lower because everything that they're doing is already working, because you get to see that they're working. You get to see that their advertising working. You get to see that their employees are working, everything. So it minimizes your risk. And the really cool thing is using leverage. People say, oh, Marty, that's a great idea, but I don't have $2 million to go buy that business, right? The amazing thing is that using leverage, you can actually acquire that business for as little as 10% down or even 0 down, depending on, if you're in the United States, there's a program you can actually acquire that business for not one single penny out of your pocket if you're buying a directly competing business. And so you take that $2 million a year in revenue, and that might be spinning off, let's call it $400,000 a year in profit. If you get a loan to buy that business and that loan costs you $250,000 a year in debt service, you're still netting $150,000 a year in incremental profit, right? And you're minimizing risk. So one of the biggest mistakes I see is trying to scale only through sales and marketing and they don't think about growth through acquisitions as a strategy.
Oh, amazing. Oh, that's really more like a lovely way of getting to look at it instead of going through marketing, which sometimes our cost, the overall cost is really a whole lot. Acquiring your competing business could actually more like be an easy path to get done, being that now you're running more like from a two particular end. And yeah, it's really amazing. And yeah. So what role does succession planning plays in building a sustainable and valuable business?
Well, we talked about succession planning a little bit. Like it plays an important role, and unfortunately, most people don't think about it. People have. I think the statistic is everybody knows they should have a will, but I think the statistic is only like 30% of people have a will, which means 70% of people die. Like 100% of us are going to die someday, right? And only 30% actually do a will. Same thing with business owners. Like we talked about, 100% of business owners are going to exit their business. And like 10% of them have any sort of succession plan. And that's just silly. Even if it's an informal, and even if it's, hey, look, if something happens to me, like, Joe, the general manager, I want you to take over the business and talk to like even an informal conversation doesn't take place because business owners tend to bury their head in the sand and they don't want to face it. So they absolutely should be having a succession plan. It should be in writing and it should be communicated to everybody involved in the succession plan. If something happens, here's what I want to see happen. You do this, you do that, and you speak to those people about what the plan is, and so that they know what to do if in case something happens. And so it's very important that business owners think about these things and execute on them as well.
Yeah, not just think about it, but execute it as well. Amazing. So how do you determine what a business is actually worth in today's market?
So how do we determine the value of a business? It's very complex, actually. So first of all, I want to dispel one common misunderstanding, and that is many business owners believe that their business is valued on a multiple of revenue. Most they have some vague knowledge that there's something called a multiple, but they think it's valued on a multiple of revenue. So that $2 million auto shop I was talking about, they think that it's some multiple of $2 million and the number 3 gets thrown around a lot. So in their head, they think it's worth $6 million. And that is very far from the truth. Businesses are valued primarily on a multiple of profit. So the more profit you have, the better your business is going to be valued. And every business category has different multiples. Some businesses only sell for a multiple of 1 or 2 times profit, and some businesses sell for 12 to 15 times profit. It depends on the business and the type of business and a lot of other factors. Is it owner operated? Can it run without the owner or not without the owner? That would add at least a full multiple point. Does it have an operating system? Does it have recurring revenue? Recurring revenue is really important from a valuation standpoint. If you have to go out and sell a new customer every time you make money and they have to do a new transaction, that's one-time revenue, right? So let's call it like a grocery store or like the auto shop that we talked about. But if you have a recurring revenue business, for example, like a car wash where people pay $30 a month to be a member of that car wash, and every single month in, month out, you're charging their credit card for recurring revenue, business is substantially more valuable than the exact same car wash down the street where people have to put the quarters in. It's the same business, exact same business. Yeah. It's water and soap, but one might be a 2 times multiple and one might be a 7 times multiple or even a 9 times multiple. So there's a lot of factors in valuing a business. The best thing you should do to get a valuation for your business is to contact an acquisitions advisor. That's what my team does. We're acquisitions advisors. Or you can contact a business broker or 2. And I would always get more than one opinion and ask for a valuation of your business. And at least then you'll know kind of where you stand.
Yeah, amazing. So such a lovely way of actually more like looking at it in terms of the value in it. Yeah, amazing. So lastly, looking ahead, how do you see the future of small business acquisition evolving globally?
Wow. So the future of small business acquisition evolving globally has been really interesting. As I mentioned, I've been doing this now for over 25 years, and I've been doing it full time now for 6 years. And we've already seen a lot of changes. There's a couple of things that are going to impact small business acquisitions globally, though. Number one, we're seeing what's called the silver tsunami, which is an entire massive generation of baby boomers who are retiring and looking for what they're going to do next, whether they're going to hand that business to their whether they're going to hand it over to somebody else, whether they're going to sell it, et cetera. Millions of businesses are about to change hands, valued at trillions of dollars. And that's all happening now very aggressively. So the silver tsunami impact is definitely there. The other impact that we're seeing in really high numbers, and it's getting stronger every day, is the corporate refugee. What that means is we're seeing, matter of fact, I think the last 3 or 4 businesses that we've sold have been somebody who has a great job at maybe a tech firm, or they have a job somewhere, but they're very concerned about layoffs, or they've just been laid off, and they want to become an entrepreneur to control their own destiny. And here's the interesting thing. There used to be a thing where people would say, if you really want to be successful, you have to start your own business. Okay. Today, more and more, we see people say, don't start your own business. If you really want to be successful, acquire a business that's already proven. It's so much less risk because there's so many of the early steps. They say 1 out of 10 new businesses will succeed. 9 out of 10 will fail in the first 2 years. Let somebody else figure out whether it's going to fail in the next 2 years, and then buy that business and then grow it to do what you want to do. So we're seeing a massive shift in people looking at getting out of corporate jobs and having their destiny controlled by somebody else, and wanting to control their own destiny by acquiring business. And there's a term for it called ET, or that's entrepreneurship through acquisition. And that's a really amazing trend that we're seeing more and more, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marty. This has really been amazing. For my audience who love to reach out either for acquisition deal, or to connect with you, or to listen to more of your contents, how can they reach out to you at the best platform?
Yeah, so the best way to reach me on my website at westboundroad.com. That's my acquisitions advisory firm, westboundroad.com, or I'm very active on LinkedIn. You can find me there. So my name is Marty Fahncke. I'm the only Marty Fahncke in the entire world, so I'm easy to find. Even if you just Google me, it's a very unique name, and I'm easy to track down. But hitting me up on my website or on LinkedIn are going to be the 2 best ways to get a hold of me.
Yeah, thank you so much, Marty. Thank you for breaking down the powerful strategy. That's strategy that many business owners overlook when building and scaling their company. So, our listener, remember that building a business isn't just about income. It's about creating something that has long-term value, structures, and the potential to outlive you. Once again, it's really a pleasure and honor having the show, Marty.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Marty, and thank you.